Hey guys, in this episode I'm going to show you how to make a reflection in Photoshop. Hey guys, and welcome to Calvin Designs. My name is Calvin and I design, and that's why it's called Calvin Designs. Click right here to subscribe to my YouTube channel and get all these episodes as they come out, and click right here to subscribe to my newsletter and get all the free files that come with every tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a reflection in Photoshop, first using this photo, and you can see the before right here and the after here. I do a little color correction as well. And then in the second one, we use a different method, and you can see the before right here and the after here. So let me show you. All right, so you're going to need a few files to follow along in this tutorial. So to do that, just go to my website, calvindesigns.com, and if you don't have an account, it's free, just sign up. And once you're signed in and logged in through here, go to the free lessons page, and you should see it up here at the top left. It's not here yet because I'm recording it, but it'll be there. Once you get onto it and you're logged in, just hit the download source files button, and it'll give you this folder right here. Actually gives you a zip, so you unzip it, and it gives you this folder. This folder has 3 files: Eiffel, Lapin Gilles, and water displacement. So the first one we're going to start with is the Eiffel raw file. So just take that and drag it to your Photoshop icon, and it opens it up in Camera Raw in Photoshop. And all right, so I'm going to do some basic correction here, just so we have something decent to work with. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is very simply bring down my highlights, open up my shadows, get a little clarity, something like that. I might want to open up the exposure just a touch. Okay, and I kind of want to get a colder feel to it because I want to give that rain look. So I'm just going to bring my temperature down a bit. And maybe some vibrance, just a little bit of vibrance, and that's not too bad. Okay, and I'm actually going to crop it right here. So let's see what I want. I want it above this line. Actually, to start out, well, yeah, I'll do it manually. It doesn't matter. Something like this. I want this a little lower, maybe around here, and this somewhere around here. It's fine, something like that. And this, I don't want that line in there, so I'm just going to cut right above it. So something like that. I know this is kind of dead center, and you're not supposed to, but what the hell. All right, so hit return. So I'm cropped in, and it's pretty good. I can always come back in here because I'm going to open this as a smart object. If this says something else, not open object, just click in here, and in this section here it says open in Photoshop as smart object. Just make sure that's checked. All right. So we can come back in here and do some more color correction, which we will. I'm actually just gonna add a little bit of something like this. Not too much. Maybe a little contrast. Touch of contrast. There you go. Something like this. All right. That'll do for now. And open object, and here it is. Just gonna, there you go. Okay. So once that's open, I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole thing. All right. So we have the whole image. Now, what we want to do is actually create a reflection. So what I'm gonna do is right-click here and new smart object via copy. And hit Command T for free transform, or that's the same as you go here and free transform. Control T on a PC, and right click it and do flip vertical. All right, so it just flips it very simply. And let's just put the image around here for now. We can always come back and move it. And then what we're going to do is put this in screen mode. Whoop, not dollar dodge, screen mode. And let's put it at 50% for now. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is place the reflection. I realize there's a line here, and we're going to have to fix that, but that's okay. What I want is I want to see some of the Eiffel Tower. I want to see some of the statue in here, and something like that. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, and then with this selected, let's go to Filter, and let's go to Distort and Wave. Okay. Actually, you know what? For this one, I want smaller. I want a very subtle sort of effect. So I'm just going to go and actually distort it using the zigzag. All right, you see that kind of does it very lightly. I mean, this is very strong, so much too strong. I just want, I want a lot of ridges, and I want them very, very slight. Okay, let's zoom out and see what we're doing here. Can barely see it. Let's go a little more. Okay, I just want it to be a little bit of. I don't want it to be too perfect. Okay, hit OK. Remember, it's a smart object, so it's a smart filter. You see, it basically gives you that sort of reflection look. I do want to do another thing, which is go to the blur here and motion blur and make sure it's 90 degrees. Okay, and let's zoom out a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Now it's doing it to the zigzagged image, but we're going to move that. Something like 20. I just want to give a little bit of a blur. Hit OK. And we're going to actually take the motion blur and move it under the zigzag. I'm going to turn off the zigzag so you can see what we just did. All right. Basically, and I'm going to zoom out. You see, it gives you that sort of blurriness that just goes up and down, which you can imagine would be in water. Okay. So we do want the zigzag back, but I want the zigzag applied after, so I moved it on top. All right. So it's a smart object, pretty easy to do. All right, and then the next thing you want to do is we're going to create a mask. So hit the mask button here and go B for brush. And let's take a brush a little smaller. Oop, not that small. Something in between. Okay, and basically, I'm going to fill this mask with black. Okay, and fill with black. Okay, so it's hiding everything. And now with a white brush at 100%, I'm going to go and say I'm going to brush where I want my reflection to be. So I want it here. I'm going to edit this a little later, but here, I want it here. And let's make this brush a little bigger. Hold down the Control and Alt key for that. So I want it all here. That's all pretty good. Okay. All right. Where I don't want it is in this corner because it's giving this reflection, which I don't want. So let's make a bigger brush, hit X to make it black, and then zoom out a little bit, and just brush right here, and a brush right here. Okay, just a tiny little touch. And another thing is, I don't want it. You see this bevel right here? There's a bevel, and I don't want it there. So let's make this brush a little bit smaller and a little bit harder. So left and right makes a size, and up and down is a hardness. Okay, something like this. Let's zoom in a little bit and a little bit more. Okay, and the brush needs to be smaller. Something like this. And I don't want it at all in this section, right? So I'm just going to see how this is. Okay, a little softer, a little bigger. And I click, and I shift click, and it makes a line in between my two clicks. Okay, that's pretty simple. Shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click. All right. So here you go. That's the before and after, and we're pretty good. I want to do one more thing to give it a little bit more of a of that feel. So I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm just going to make a selection. M for marquee. Make a selection. Make it square if you want, and let's go ahead and fill that with gray. Okay. And then let's go ahead and filter, add some noise here. It's pretty good. Maximum is fine. And now I'm going to just make a small blur. Well, let's make a, actually I have to deselect first. Command D to deselect, or go here, deselect. And let's go to filter and blur and motion blur, like so. And this time we want it at 0, so it's straight, and we want it pretty far out, okay? Something to give us this texture, this almost brushed metal look, all right? And hit OK. And now we're going to go inside and sharpen that. So sharpen, unsharp mask, and let's just exaggerate this pretty heavily, as much as you can. Okay, something, not too much like that. Something like that. And now I'm going to, again, with the marquee tool, I don't want this fuzzed edge, so I'm just going to go in here and pick out this area here. It's fine. And I'm going to do new layer via copy or Command J. That way I can delete this layer. Hit delete. All right, let's zoom out. And this is some texture now. I'm going to use this. I'm going to make this much bigger. Okay. Not that big. I want it about the width of the photo. Something like this. Okay. Hit return, and now I'm going to put it in overlay mode, okay, something like this, and I want to do a little bit of that same or similar distortion, that zigzag, all right, just to get some of that waviness. Whoops, zoomed out a little too much here. Let's see, what does that look like? Can't see it. I don't think it's previewing. Let's try to add some. Oh, it is previewing. It's just very, very mild. All right, well, let's just hit OK, see what that does. Okay, it's giving us a little too much, so I'm going to undo that. Let's do it again. Filter and distort and zigzag. And let's just do on the amount. Let's go down. I really just want a little bit, all right? Something like that. It's almost perfect when it's straight. And now I want this to exclusively be on the reflection, so I hold on the Alt key, and it's going to create a mask. So this only is affected on the reflection. See, before, after. Zoom in so you probably can't see too much in the video, but if I zoom in, you can see before and after. Before, after. It's giving you a few of these lines, almost like a little puddle. We can tone this down. It's pretty strong. So let's tone it down to, say, 60 or something %. Before, after. It's giving you a little bit more texture, and yeah. It's giving you a little bit of that water reflection texture, which is what I like. All right, so we can go ahead and save this. Well, actually, to really finish this, the photo is not fully retouched. I do kind of want the bricks to be nicer. Let's just go ahead and go back to camera raw. I know this is not too much for the reflection, but it'll make everything look nicer. Let's go and hit the brush tool here, the adjustment brush, and let's just so we can see what we're doing. Let's go back to 0 on this. And actually, we can put some clarity. I'm going to add here. I'm going to add some exposure just so we can see where we're brushing. And up here, what I want to do is I'm trying to, let's take out this sky. I don't want to put this guy in there. I'm just trying to I actually just want it warm. I want the bricks to be a little warmer to contrast with the blue, so that's nice. I want a little more clarity in the bricks, maybe a little more contrast, slightly more exposed, something like that. I kind of like that. So that's pretty good. Let's make a new one for the Eiffel Tower. Whoops, undo that. I want to zoom in a little bit, and let's make the size a little smaller. Even smaller. I just want to lighten this up a tad, okay? So it's taking the same correction as before, which I don't want to do. So double click on these, double click on these. Don't want to add clarity. What I do want to do is open up some of the shadows. That's pretty much all I want to do in the Eiffel Tower. Maybe a touch of clarity, but usually gives it a little glow, which I try to avoid. Okay, and another little trick. I maybe want to light up this light. So create a radial filter up here. Make it hold down Shift to keep the proportions nice and straight. And let's just do exposure. And let's bring the feather down. Whoop. I want a soft. All right, it's a little too big. Let's shrink it down. I want it kind of yellow, not too yellow. Pretty strong. Maybe something like this. See where it goes. I don't want it too strong on the actual line. So something like that. It's a little too much. Let's see what we can do. Let's try to bring this down. It's pretty soft. Let's just bring it down all the way and give it a little touch. Yeah, just a little, makes it look a little better. Zoom out, Command minus, and let's go to the hand tool, see what we got. We could kind of close the image down a little bit on the bottom, so add a little ND filter. So like this, keep it straight, holding down Shift. Let's just reset this. Reset all this. All right. And what I really want is a little lower exposure. I want it to be a little bit colder in the bottom and a little closed, something like this. Make this taller, bring it down here. Okay, let's hit OK. See what we got. That's pretty nice. I like that. It's a little better. And all right, so let's just save this and call it Eiffel 1. That's fine. Put it on my desktop. That's fine. Okay. Now, for the next image, I'm going to close this, but it's saving. It's a pretty big file. For the next image, you're going to open up this lapinagile.jpg and go and drag it to Photoshop here. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and zoom out so I can see the whole thing. Okay, so what we're going to do here is a little different technique, and I want to make it look like these stones are a little wet. All right, by using reflections and so on. So the first thing we're going to do is Command J or New Layer via Copy here, New Layer via Copy, and let's turn this into a Smart Object. Convert to Smart Object. Hit Command T or Edit Free Transform. And again, right click and flip vertical. Okay. I'm just going to bring this down something like here for now. Okay. We're going to edit this in a minute. And basically what you want is we're going to put this, let's just for now, let's put this in screen mode. We're gonna edit this in a minute. But so there's another file that I provided in the source file, which is a water displacement map. And you can learn how to make this in another tutorial. But for now, I just want to give it to you so you can use it. And basically what it does is, well, first thing first, let's go to blur and motion blur this at 90. Once again, not so much, just a little bit. If we zoom out, we can kind of see. I want to give that impression of water a little bit, so somewhere around 20 or 30. That's fine. Okay. All right. Let me put this in normal so you can actually see what we're doing more clearly. All right. So we just blurred everything up and down, and now we're going to go to Filter and Displace. And Displace, I would do horizontal 10, vertical scale 80, stretch to fit, and repeat edge. And here it's going to ask you for a file of what to use to displace it. So use this displacement map, and it's a kind of a water texture. And you'll see, look at that, pretty crazy. It gives you this real watery texture. I kind of want the, let's see if I move the, let's see if I put the displacement map below the blur. Yeah, I like that better. Or actually, it blurs the whole thing. I'm gonna invert that. Put it back up here. Okay. Go back to screen mode, and look at that. We're starting to get this feeling of reflection. And zoom out a little bit, because this whole street kind of goes down, and I really want the water reflection to be kind of over here. I'm not too concerned about here. I'm going to hit Command T to free transform, and I'm going to skew it. Okay, I want everything to kind of be mirrored in a way, but more on the right side. So you see this area, I kind of want this, I want a mirror to be created around here. Maybe a little lower, and skewing. So hold on Command Shift, and that's pretty good. Maybe this a little lower, something like that. Hit OK. Again, this is a smart object, so none of this is destructive. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key while creating a mask, and that basically hides everything. So that I can now use a brush, like we did earlier, B for brush, and white to reveal. Make it a little bigger, a little softer, and I can just go in here and say this is where I want the reflection on these paving stones. All right, so I'm just brushing on all these paving stones, something like this. Something like that. All right. I don't really want it too much over here, so hit X to invert, black to mask, and I just kind of do like that. So it's a little softer. Okay, and then there's another thing I do. I want this to be, I want the black shadows basically to kind of come out of the underlying layer. So I do what's called a blend if. You right click on the layer, and it pulls up this layer style. Now what happens here in this blend if, this underlying layer, here if I move this to the right, it's basically saying anything that's black is just going to come through. Now it's doing it in a very harsh way. There's no soft edge or anything. So what you want to do is hold down the Alt key, and this blend if happens in a sort of a soft gradient, okay? So we can bring this kind of to the left, and then this kind of to the right. And you can see before, it's totally clear. And with this preview on, now that the darkest shadows are in a soft gradient coming through, all right? You can bring this all the way down to keep that and make this gradient. So you can see basically the intensity of your reflection here is determined by how soft you want it to kind of come through. So I like it around here. It's pretty nice. I'm not crazy about this green on this white line, so either you mask it out or zoom out and do, whoop, I unlinked this so that I can go and change this. So I had a mask in there, but because they were linked, it was taking the whole. I unlinked it, and now when I do a Command T to transform, it's just this. And I'm just going to bring this down a touch so that it's not on the white line. Something like that. Hit return. Let's zoom in and take a look. That's pretty good. I like that. And so you got the before and you got the after. We have this reflection. If you want to give it some color and stuff, you can. This is kind of a sepia toned photo. By the way, this is a photo from my friend Serge Ramelli, which I'm sure some of you know. And he asked me if I could try to do a reflection on this. He really hoped it was raining that day, and so I wanted to try it out, and this is what it was. So there you go, and you can go ahead and save that, and that's how you do reflections. All right, guys, I hope you liked this episode. I really like the effect of reflective water and that sort of water look in landscapes. And if you liked it, please like it, share it, and put it on Facebook or Google+. It really helps me out. I'll see you in the next episode. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about my new course called Photoshop 101. This is the most in-depth course I've ever done on Photoshop, and it takes you from not knowing anything in Photoshop all the way to really learning how to do composites, color adjustments, layers, masks. It's really comprehensive. It's the most detailed course I've ever done in Photoshop. And if you ever wondered what course to start with or what course to do for Photoshop, this is really the one for you. I'm telling you, I've tried many courses, I've seen other possible tutorials and so on. This is very comprehensive. If you want to get a discount for this course, use the one that's shown up on your screen right here. And I want to show you, here's a few before and after. So here you see this one. I'm going to show you how to take this photo and transform it to this, and how to take these few photos and make a composite like this. Or take simple effects like, I want to change the sky, but it needs to manipulate all the colors everywhere. So I start off with this photo and I end up with this one. Anyway, these are just a few. Check it out. I'm sure you'll really like it.